Greetings. Let no one be slow to seek wisdom when he is young, nor weary in the search thereof when he is grown old. For no age is too early or too late for the health of the soul. And to say that the season for studying philosophy has not yet come, or that it is past and gone, is like saying that the season for happiness is not yet, or that it is now no more. Therefore, both old and young ought to seek wisdom, the former in order that, as age comes over him, he may be young in good things because of the grace of what has been, and the latter in order that, when he is young, he may be at the same time be old, because he has no fear of the things which are to come. So we must exercise ourselves in the things which bring happiness, since, if that be present, we have everything, and, if that be absent, all our actions are directed towards attaining it. Those things which, without ceasing, I have declared to you, those do, and exercise yourself in those, holding them to be the element of right life. For, first believe that God is a living being, immortal and happy, according to the notion of God indicated by the common sense of humankind. And so of him anything that is at agrees not with about him, whatever may uphold both his happiness and his immortality. For truly there are gods, and knowledge of them is evident, but they are not such as the multitude believe, seeing that people do not steadfastly maintain the notion they form respecting them. Not the person who denies the gods worshipped by the multitude, but he who affirms the gods which the multitude believe about them is truly impious. For the utterance of the multitudes about the gods are not true preconceptions, but false assumptions. Hence, it is the greatest evil happen to the wicked, and the greatest blessings happen to the good, from the hands of the gods, seeing that they are always favorable to their own good qualities, and take pleasure in people like themselves, but reject as alien whatever is not of their kind. Accustom yourself to believe that death is nothing to us, for good and evil imply awareness, and death is the privation of all awareness. Therefore, a right understanding that death is nothing to us makes the mortality of life enjoyable, not by adding to life an unlimited time, but by taking away the yearning after immortality. For life has no terror. For those who thoroughly apprehend, there are no terrors for them in ceasing to live. Foolish, therefore, is the person who says that he fears death, not because it will pain when it comes, but because it pains in the prospect. Wherever causes no annoyance when it is present, causes only a groundless pain in the expectation. Death, therefore, the most awful of evils, is nothing to us, seeing that, when we are, death is not come, and, when death is come, we are not. It is nothing, then, either to the living or to the dead, for with the living it is not, and the dead exist no longer. But in the world at one time people shunned death as the greatest of all evils, and at other times choose it in respite from the evils in life. The wise person does not depreciate life, nor does he fear the cessation of life. The thought of life is no offense to him, nor is it the cessation of life regarded as an evil. And even as people choose of food not merely and simply the largest portion, but the more pleasant, so the wise seek to enjoy the time which is most pleasant, and not merely that which is longest. And he who admonishes the young to live well, and the old to make good ends speaks foolishly, not merely because of the desirability of life, but because the same exercise at one teaches to live well and to die well. Much worse is he who says that it were good not to be born, but when all one is born, to pass with all speed through the gates of Hades. For if he truly believes this, why does he not depart from life? If it were easy for him to do so, if once he were firmly convinced, if he speaks only in mockery, his words are foolish, for those who hear him believe him not. We must also reflect that of desires some are natural, others are groundless, and that of the natural some are necessary as well as natural, and some natural only. And of the necessary desires, some are necessary if we are to be happy, some if the body is to be rid of uneasiness, some if we are even to live. He who has a clear and certain understanding of these things will direct every preference and aversion towards securing health of body and tranquility of mind, seeing that this is the sum and end of a happy life. For the end of all our actions is to be free from pain and fear, and when once we have attained all this, the tempest of the soul is laid, seeing that the living creature has no need to go in search of something that is lacking, nor to look anything else by which the good of the soul and of the body will be fulfilled. When we are pained pleasure, then, and then only, do we feel the need of pleasure. For this reason we can call pleasure the alpha and the omega of happiness. Pleasure is not our first and kindred good. It is the starting point of every choice and of every aversion, and to it we must come back, inasmuch as we make feeling the rule by which to judge of every good thing. And since pleasure is our first and native good, for the reason we do not choose every pleasure whatever, but often pass over many pleasures when a greater annoyance ensues from them. And often we consider pains superior to pleasure when submission to the pain for a long time brings us, as a consequence, a greater pleasure. While therefore all pleasures, because it is naturally akin to us, is good, not all pleasure is worthy of a choice, just as all pain is not evil, and yet not all pain is to be shunned. It is, however, by measuring one against another, and by looking at the conveniences and inconveniences, all these matters must be judged. Sometimes we treat the good as an evil, and the evil, on the contrary, as a good. Again, we regard independence of outward things as a great good, not so as in all cases in use a little, but so as to be contented with little, if we have not much, being honestly persuaded that they are the sweetest symphony of the luxury when stand least in need of it, and that whenever is natural is easily procured, and only the vain and worthless are to win. Pain, plain, fare gives us as much pleasure as a costly diet, when one of the pain of want has been removed, while bread and water confer the highest possible pleasure when they are brought to hungry lips. To habituate one's self, therefore, to simple and inexpensive diet supplies all that is needful for health and enables a person to meet the necessary requirements of life without shrinking, and it places us in a better condition when we approach at intervals a costly fare and renders us fearless of fortune. When we say, then, that pleasure is the end and aim, we do not mean the pleasures of the prodigal or pleasures of sensuality, as we are understood to do by some through ignorance, prejudice, or willful misrepresentation. By pleasure we mean the absence of pain in the body and of trouble in the soul. It is not an unbroken succession of drinking bouts and of merrymaking, not sexual love, not the enjoyment of the fish and other delicacies of a luxurious table which produce a pleasant life. It is sober reasoning, searching out the grounds of every choice and avoidance, and banishing those beliefs through which the greatest disturbances take possession of the soul. Of all this, the prudence, for this reason prudence is a more precious thing even than the other virtues. For add a life of pleasure, which is not also a life of prudence, honor, and justice, nor lead a life of prudence, honor, and justice, which is not also a life of pleasure. For the virtues have grown into one with a pleasant life, and a pleasant life is inseparable from them. Who, then, is superior in your judgment to such a person? He holds a holy belief concerning the gods, and is altogether free from the fear of death. He has diligently considered the end fixed by nature, and understands how easy the limit of good things can be reached and attained, and how each, either the duration or the intensity of evil, is but slight. Destiny, which some introduce as sovereign over all things, he laughs to scorn, affirming rather than some things happen of necessity, others by chance, and others through our own agency. For he sees that necessity destroys responsibility, and that chance or fortune is inconsistent, whereas our own actions are free, and it is to them that praise and blame naturally attach. It were better, indeed, to accept the legends of the gods than to bow beneath the destiny which the natural philosophers have imposed. The one holds out some faith hope that we may escape if our honor the gods, while the necessity of the naturalist is deaf to all entreaties. Nor does he hold chance to be a god, as the world in general does, for in the acts of gods there is no disorder, nor to be a cause, through an uncertain one, for he believes no good or evil is dispensed by the chance to people so as to make life happy, though it supplies the smart point of great good and great evil. He believes that the misfortune of the wise is better than the prosperity of the fool. It is better, in short, that what is well judged in action should not owe its successful issue to the aid of chance. Exercise yourself in these and kindred precepts day and night, both by yourself and with him he who is like you. Then never, either in the waking or in dreams, will you be disturbed, but will live as a god among people, for people lose all appearances of mortality by living in the midst of immortal blessings.